Hi, my name is Terry Hess, and this is my game Hunky Dory, made with Unity 4.3. The game starts with an intro that flies over where the camera flies over the map and shows the locations of the hang glider parts. The object is for the player to collect these parts and build the hang glider showed at the end of the intro and use it to fly away. They'll fly across the river and escape any danger. For time's sake, I had to cut about 3 minutes and 28 seconds out of this so that it would be under 5 minutes. Okay, we see the player start, and he walks out the back door and collects the first item. One of the problems I had is when the player collects the first item, the screen freezes for about a second, and then it comes back, but after that there wasn't many problems with the collecting of the items. Okay, now we have the player moving towards the second item. When the player gets close to the items, they'll glow red to show the player where they are, and if they are something that they need to investigate. Here we have the player walking down to the door, and we skip to the door where the hang glider is located behind it. There's no handles or anything on the door, so the player must keep going, but that's something they'll remember they need to come back to when they get stuck. I stopped here to look back at the map to show where the player had come from. One of the bigger problems I had in the game was writing the script. I could get the slots to come up in the items that I used the script on, but for some reason I just couldn't get it to work, and even if I didn't have error messages, it still wouldn't work. Like with my doors here, if the player stands in the trigger, the door will keep opening and closing until the player walks through. On a lot of these things I had to use a trigger when I didn't exactly want to, for like when the player collects the last part, and when the player collects the fourth part, which will be coming up, the player steps on a trigger to open the door instead of just animation cutting to showing the door open. There were a lot of things that went right while I was building the game. The terrain editor was easy to use. I imported some materials to use on the mountains, like different rocks, and I also imported some different kinds of grass. The hardest part of using the editor would have probably been making the slopes on the hills just the way I wanted them. Here we come to the player collecting the fourth piece. And a second ago we showed that the door to the gate around the town was closed, but after the player collects the fourth piece, he can come back here and the gate's now open for him. The player's getting ready to walk into the town of the game. Due to time, I couldn't show a lot of the town like I wanted to, so I ended up cutting a lot of that out. Now here the player is coming into the fifth and final piece. He collects the part, and after the player collects the part, there's text on screen letting the player know that they've collected the part. Now that the player has all pieces, he's able to go up top to build the hang glider. In that shot, we was able to see the wall that the hang glider is behind and see that the door was open, and the player comes up the hill. He hits E to activate the hang glider. It shakes, representing the build of the hang glider, and now we take off. The player is going to fly over the town, and when he looks back at the shanty where they started, there's an explosion, all kinds of different colors flying up in the air. Now the player will be crossing the river that they couldn't previously cross before, and will come in for the soft landing.